Hello, today is Monday, August 30th, 2021, and it's time for another exciting show from the Learn More, Earn More show with yours truly, Nancy Juetten. Do you need a much wider audience for the work that you do? Answer in the chat, yes or no. Give me a big yes if you need a bigger audience for your message, and no if you've got all the people you need. My guess is that you need a much wider audience to benefit from what it is that you bring to market. Because that single lever, the size of your audience, could be the one lever that you pull that could make a world of difference for the impact, the influence, and the income you make from your business, whatever kind of business it is. If you want to build a much wider audience, you got to start today. My name is Nancy Juetten, and I am a podcast guesting expert. I am a community builder for the Raise Your Voice, Make Your Impact Facebook group. I'm a gifted publicist, and I'm a messaging magician who has the ability to support clients in finding words to describe what they do and who they do it for, so podcast hosts and clients and people around the world will want to stop, take notice, listen, and ultimately buy. I love leading this live show every Monday, and I love welcoming new members to the group. And if you are new to the group, let me issue a warm welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I expect that we're going to have quite a few new members joining us over the next 10 days. And that's one of the things I want to talk to you about. I want to teach you how you can do that too. Now, you probably have seen that we have something special coming up on September 13th. It's the Podcast Visibility Live Lab. And this is a multi-day virtual training during which I'm going to teach you my 6P system so that you can prepare, position, prioritize, pitch, ping pong, and profit as a result of stepping up to the right podcasts that are right for your message. And I'm going to give you bite-sized lessons, bite-sized homework, and accountability to get things done. So by the time you are complete with the Podcast Visibility Live Lab, you just might have even booked yourself on a couple of shows and have your confidence buoyed so high that you can't wait to keep the momentum going. If you have already registered, gold star for you. I can't wait to welcome you and share everything that I have to bring. And if you are sitting on the edge of a pin trying to decide what the heck is that and why should I do it, notice that there's a crawler across the bottom of the screen that has the link that you can visit so that you can register. All the value is packed within, and I would love for you to join me because this is going to be my last dash. Bring it all, lay it out on the table, and make sure that you get all the value and insight and how-to guidance and inspiration and motivation so that you can book yourself on more of the right podcasts without hiring an expensive booking agency. And why does that matter? It's simple. Because you likely need a much wider audience to benefit from what it is that you bring to market. Your work is worthy of a much wider audience, and the time for you to welcome that audience is not someday, not next year, not next week. It's right now. Why would you wait? So let me just say this about that. I want to talk about some remarkable ways that you can grow your audience and build your community right now. So I want to paint a picture first. Let's just say you have dialed in your 4-figure offer, and this is a program that you love to lead, that your ideal clients already gladly buy. And when they do so, not only do they get the result that you promised, but they get results beyond their expectations. Not only do they get results beyond their expectations, but they also sing your praises to people they know who need the transformation that you provide and know that you might very well be their teacher. If this is your situation, congratulations, great job. You have built something that's going to last and most importantly has the greatest potential to grow. And so what do you need to do now? You need to build a much bigger audience of qualified people who can benefit from how you help. So you can go from 10 participants in your program to 20 enrolled participants in your program, or perhaps 50 people enrolled in your program, or maybe 100 people invested in your program, or some other number that is so ambitious that you can't even imagine it right now because it is so uncomfortable and so magical and so beyond where you can think right now. So what I want you to think about is, what would be a big, hairy, audacious goal for you to set for the fourth quarter, such that you can invite that many perfect, qualified clients to engage in that thing that you do better than anyone else, so that they can get the promises that you bring and then some. You might be thinking, well, I'd be happy if I could get 5 people to say yes. I'd be happy if I could get 10 people to say yes, or 30 people to say yes. What would it take you to go beyond what's comfortable to actually show up and be even more magnificent, so even more people would want to beat a path to your door? That's a big thing to think about. Because you might be thinking, well, I've got to build systems for that. I might need a team to support me. I might need more administrative support. I might need whatever it is, fill in the blanks. But if you have been playing small up until this point, just handling this all yourself, who would you need to be, and how would you need to show up such that these bigger outcomes could be your steady diet of what it is that you do every single day? Not only would you get to serve and touch and transform a whole lot more lives, but what then might happen for you as a result of showing up in this way? What would you get to have, be, or do as a result of playing a bigger game? So let's break this down into some practical things that you might consider. And I'm also going to reveal some truth-telling from my own life, which I think might really inform what next you decide to do, and to paint a picture of what is possible. Let's just say that you led a program this year and you have 20 clients who not only got what they came for, but they got more than they expected. These are happy clients. They are champions, potential champions, advocates, and drum beaters for the great work that you do. Nobody is a better advocate than a happy client. So make a list of your happiest clients who got what it is that they came for. Could you reach out to each one of them, person to person, check in with them, see how it is that they're doing, showcase what it meant to you to see them transform in this way, and then have the courage to ask, would they be willing to champion and advocate for what it is that you do to the people that they know? They might simply say, I'd be happy to. Can you make it easy for me? In which case, you make it easy for them. You provide pre-written marketing emails or pre-written marketing posts that could be shared on social media, or pre-written blog posts that you share with your advocates, champions, and drum beaters, and say, if you would be so kind and so generous to share this out with the people that you know, I know that I will get to touch and transform more lives the way that I was able to help you. And that would mean the world to me. If you simply ask, you might be rewarded by multiple people saying, absolutely, it would be my pleasure to support you, and I can't wait to start. You would simply need to say, please share the messages within a specific time window so that it will support whatever it is that's coming up for you. Just by that one request, if you had 20 clients and they each told 20 friends, that would be 400 people that would be aware of what it is that you have coming up. And that's a whole lot more people than you can reach by yourself. So one takeaway from today's training is, make a list of who is an advocate for your program because they've graduated with the results that they expected and then some. And can you reach out to those people to make a request? A second way to build an audience is to ask yourself, where have I podcast guested so far this year? The hosts that had the opportunity to interview you about your expertise are likely very impressed with what it is that you talk about, how it is that you show up, the value that you bring. They're also going to be very present to whether or not your podcast episode was popular and downloaded many times. They're going to remember that when you were a guest on their podcast, that you beat the drum for that podcast by sharing it out in a world-class way, as all top podcast guests do. And when you reach out to folks that you have talked to on podcasts and say, hey, I've got something coming up. Is this something that you think would be of service to your audience? Might there be a way for you to help elevate the message and bring it to more people? When you do that, you might find that hosts will volunteer to highlight your episode in perfect timing, even as a rerun. You might find that someone says, I love your expertise. It's something that I don't do in my own business. I would love to advocate and champion for you. Can you please share with me some copy to make it easy for me? And you can see how making these requests can turn into some big yeses. Because if someone has a podcast, they already have an audience. And if they go ahead and share out whatever is coming up for you, you're reaching people that you have not yet met, that have not yet been referred to you, that could become registrants to your upcoming event. Here's another thing that I've discovered is that sometimes when I am a guest on a podcast, I don't even realize that that is the first step to being considered to strategic partner with these influential hosts. Very recently, I have been on a number of podcasts, 5 of them, as a matter of fact. And in each case, after the conversation was concluded and the microphone went silent, conversations ignited around, wow, what a great conversation we had. I really appreciate your expertise. It's outside my own sphere. I'm wondering if there are other ways we can play together. And then I've been able to say, well, I've been really impressed with what I've learned from you in the short time we've had together. I wonder if there's ways that I could support your success too. And being open to those kinds of conversations means that magic is just about to unfold. I will tell you that for the Podcast Visibility Live Lab that's coming up on September 13th, I reached out to 5 hosts where I felt the connection we had was really, really strong, and the rapport was excellent, and the value was dropped. And I reached out to express appreciation, check in with them personally about what is going on with them and what I might support for them. And then when it felt comfortable, I reached out and said, you know, I've got something coming up. I'm wondering if this would be something that you would like to champion or support. Well, would it surprise you to know that 5 of the hosts that I was fortunate enough to be on their shows were so impressed that they decided to champion me? And so these are 5 people that have shows, that have embedded audiences, that also have generous email lists, that they're willing to share the good news about what it is that I do and how it is that I do it. What if we paint the picture that you are soon going to be a guest on 10 or more podcasts, and that you develop those same kinds of relationships with the hosts that are fortunate to have you as their guest. And when the microphone goes silent, you have the opportunity to lend fire to a conversation that can take both of you further and farther than either of you thought possible, simply because you had the courage to have a juicy conversation that was outside the scope of what you were there to talk about on the podcast. How many more lives could you touch and transform with your expertise and your upcoming training, product, program, service, or offering? Does that start to get you thinking bigger about what's possible for you? So here's another thought. Have you thought about being a guest faculty member for another person in your industry where what it is that you do is in alignment but not competitive with what it is that they do? Early this year, and I have to give a big shout out to Linda May Vorthman and Rebecca Pierce Murray, who are members of the Raise Your Voice, Make Your Impact Facebook group. They are also members of Toastmasters, and I am a Toastmaster as well. But in January of this year, they heard me. They've been watching me here in the Facebook group and seeing the value that I drop. And one day they recommended me, without me knowing, to be a speaker for the accredited speakers program for Toastmasters in my district to talk about podcast guesting for good and profit. I was so honored by that invitation that I pulled out all the stops to deliver an amazing virtual workshop for this audience. I just poured on the value. And what do you know? The feedback from that one training triggered a whole series of events where I was subsequently invited to speak at the educational conference for the district. And I've been since invited to give that same talk 12 or 15 times for different professional groups that heard of me because two amazing champions within my own Facebook group thought highly enough about me to make a recommendation that I might be considered for something where an audience would already be built in. I went looking through my partnerships for the launch that I'm now participating in, and I noticed that Mark Porteous, Jesse De Silva, Susan Harrow, Michelle Chabnell, and Christine Closer, and Direct Pay, they all hosted me at one time or another for a Bye Bye Boring Bio workshop or a Get Your Publicity Done workshop or some kind of a workshop where I had delivered some wow. And the wow was enough that when I reached back to them and said, hey, would you like to champion me for what's coming up soon? They all said not only yes, but heck yes. What you did was spectacular. It was door opening. It was generous. It was beyond what any of us normally would have had expected for a free workshop. Of course, we're happy to champion you. So now painting the picture for you, where can you speak up on someone else's masterclass, someone else's Facebook group, someone else's mastermind, someone else's virtual stage? Be open and aware and look at your inbox through new filters and say to yourself, wow, I'd really like to contribute to something like that. I wonder if there's an opening. Because you know what? You might be surprised that if you make a suggestion, someone's going to say, wow, that does bridge a gap in the content that we were going to cover. No one else is covering it. Nobody covers it just the way that you do. And yes, my answer is yes. I want you to give that talk. And there you have it. You have to be present to ways that you can insert yourself into situations that will allow your own work to reach a much wider audience. So we talked about speaking up on podcasts. Now we're talking about finding avenues where you can speak up on other stages as a live trainer or a live speaker, virtual or in person. It doesn't really matter. And then of course, we also talked about your existing clients and how they can be powerful fuel for whatever it is that you have. Now there's one other group that you can tend to, and that is the members of the Facebook group that you may already be leading. And boy, you could have knocked me over with a feather when several members of this very group said, wow, I participated the last time you did your 5-day challenge. It was so amazing. I would love to tell my friends about it so they can join and be part of it too. And then some of them said, I'd like to join your official partner program so I can be rewarded with sales commissions when people I refer decide to enroll in your tuition-based program. Wow, how amazing is that people would just come forth and say, I was involved in this before. I know my people that I know that work with me and that I have touch points with would get value from what it is that you do. Can I play? And you know what? The answer is yes, you can. And here's the cool thing. If you are a happy client or a happy member of the Facebook group that you are already a part of, you know the kind of value that I drop, you know the kind of enthusiasm I bring, you know that when you have implemented what it is that I've taught you generously in free trainings, that you have welcomed the outcomes that you wanted. More leads, more inbound sales, more connections, more conversations, more cash. And this is before even belling up to the bar to pay $1 of tuition for any of my paid programs. If you can imagine how cool it is here in the group, just belling up to the free bar, imagine what awesomeness is waiting behind the velvet rope once you become a client. Well, I'm really thrilled that members of this group and happy clients of mine are beating the drum for my upcoming podcast Visibility Live launch. I want to say thank you to Lynette Hoy, Andrea Bullard, Vicki Delajoyo, Bettina Carey, Meredith Leipelt, and I also want to say thank you to Spencer Hodges, I think it's Hodges, who is a member of the group, who just is a fan. When you are a happy client or a happy member of a group, not only can you take the pre-prepared swipe copy and run with it, but you can make it even more credible when you put your own spin on the words that are used to demonstrate to your friends, colleagues, and co-collaborators that this is something they don't want to miss, because you've already sat at the feet of the wisdom and you've already gotten the value, and you know that it's well worth their time and effort to run and not walk to participate. So if you are watching this and you love what it is that I do here in the podcast, in the Raise Your Voice, Make Your Impact Facebook group, and you know that the Podcast Visibility Live Lab is something that you're going to claim your virtual front row seat and make it a daily priority, and you feel so strongly about it that you want to also invite others to join us, my invitation is, please invite others to join us. I have a very big, hairy, audacious goal, and I'm going to share it with you, even though I'm going to speak it into reality, which may seem really, really crazy. But I have 101 happy registrants to the Podcast Visibility Live Lab as of this very moment. And between now and September 13th, my big, hairy, audacious goal is that there will be 1,000 or more registrants belling up to the bar to get the value that I bring, so that they can book themselves on more of the right podcasts and attract the inbound inquiries, the leads, the clients, and the cash that they desire for their fourth quarter. If you would like to play officially or unofficially, reach out to me as a direct message and say, I want to play, or post in the chat below and say, I want to play, and I will gladly share with you how you can join my partner program, and we can make it easy for you to share the good news. And that's that. If you want to build a much wider audience for your products, programs, services, 5-day challenge, or whatever it is that's on the horizon for you, what do? You make a decision to build a much wider audience for your work. That means that you pitch yourself to podcast hosts who have the influence to take your message far and wide. That means that you suggest yourself as an expert faculty member to people of influence where your expertise can add value without competing. It means reaching out to your happy clients and asking them if they will beat the drum on your behalf so even more lives can be touched and transformed as theirs were for making the wise choice to work with you. And that means reaching out to the members of your own Facebook community or whatever community you lead and say, is this worth talking about to the point that you would be willing to beat the drum and support me? Let me hear from you, and I will gladly make it easy for you to do that. If you ask for what you want, you just might get what you ask for. But if you try to go it alone and do it all by yourself, well, that has its own consequence as well. It means that you will have a much slower road to the impact and the income and the influence that you want. That means you will be winning at a lower degree of awesomeness. That means that whatever it is that you personally want to have, be, or do will be limited by the audience that has the opportunity to hear what you have to say. And I think that one of the things that I've become very, very present to in the last several years is that waiting and suffering longer than necessary just has to stop. It has to stop right now. If you're watching world news, you know that the world can change on a dime. If you've been following the pandemic, a vaccine doesn't solve it all. We still have problems. There are a lot of reasons that we're not going to be back to live stages, or people will be nervous to get on airplanes to go to live events. There's all kinds of impediments that can stop us from achieving whatever it is that we're here to do, whatever flag we're waving. And I'm simply saying, if now is the time for you to do this thing that you do in a world-class way in service to more of the right people whose lives can be touched and transformed by your personal story, your message, your product, your program, your service, now is the time. None of this is going to happen in a vacuum all by yourself, hoping and dreaming and manifesting. You have got to invite people in. You've got to grow your audience. You have to beat the drum. You have to build relationships with people who have the power to open bigger doors for you. And not only that, but you've got to tend to whatever head trash is standing in the way of your big cash and deciding it doesn't matter if I'm younger, thinner, fatter, prettier, married, unmarried, whatever the occasion. Be enough right now to care enough about making it happen that you can make it happen right now. Because today is August 30th, and you've got September, October, November, and December to make this year the best revenue year ever. This year, the kind of year that you can hang your hat on and say, despite all of the potholes and the challenges and the things that happened in the world, I was able to take control over my own destiny, make big asks, serve in a powerful way, and make a difference that made myself proud, made my family proud, and allowed me to accomplish important goals in my life and my finances and every other way that make 2021 the best year I've ever had. Take that mindset and believe that the abundance that you are seeking is also the abundance that you give to others so generously so that they can't wait to follow in your footsteps and model your example. So I hope that you have enjoyed today's call about remarkable ways to grow your audience. I hope you're inspired to do that. If you've not yet claimed your place for the Podcast Visibility Live Lab, go ahead and make sure that you do that. And if you're excited to champion, advocate, and beat the drum so that other people can be part of it too, post and comment and below in the chat and say, I want to play. And I will reach out to you by direct message and make it easy for you to advocate, champion, and beat the drum so that we can together bring an audience of 1,000 or more into this Facebook community between now and September 13th. Now, I've got 2,226 members and about 25% of you are active in the group. If you have not yet posted a comment, a like, a GIF, or some way to let me know that you're paying attention, I want to hear from you. Engagement is where it's at. Engagement is where it's at. I want to know what you like, what you don't like, how I can serve you better, and what more I can do to bring the value. And boy, oh boy, do I have value brewing for you starting on September 13th for the Podcast Visibility Live Lab. I'm bringing out all the stops. You're not going to want to miss a moment of it. But in the meantime, think about how you are going to grow your audience and get it to the point where you have enough people paying attention so that you can add a couple of zeros to the right of your income before the end of the year is here. Isn't that a big idea? If not now, then when? That is my question to you. So with that, this is the Learn More, Earn More show featuring yours truly, Nancy Juetten. Thanking you for joining me live or by replay. I look forward to hearing your comments. I look forward to feeling the love and the support and having you all participate for something that is going to be a game changer for you. And I can't wait to see what happens as a result as you book yourself on more of the right podcast for your message and become forever changed because of the ninja strategies, mindset adjustments, and powerful ways of showing up as a rock star that are going to change your fate in every good way. So with that, I say thanks for tuning in, and I will see you next week for a very special show where I have something special I'm going to be talking about that is all about September 8th and why that date really matters to me. And there will be a special, juicy, delicious reward for those of you who decide to take advantage of what it is I have coming up on Monday. So stay tuned. You won't want to miss that. All right, that's all I have for you for today. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.